Hi everyone, welcome back to Preferably Pre-K. I'm Mrs. Spinoza and today I'm going to be sharing 30 must-have items for pre-K or kinder teachers. I will be going into my 6th year of teaching. It will be my 2nd year teaching kinder, and I did get to keep a lot of the items and resources that I used in pre-K and brought them over to kinder. So I really do think these items would work in either classroom. So let's go ahead and jump in. So your first must-have item, I think, is definitely a laminating machine. And I bought this my 1st year of teaching, like right away when I realized just how much laminating you do, because you want to make sure that whatever resources, labels, just anything that you print, or at least I print, I want to make sure that it lasts me a while. So I always do just tend to laminate. So I bought a Scotch and I haven't had any issues with it, so it's absolutely a good investment to just get your own laminating machine. And the pricey part is definitely the laminating sheets. I used to get a pack of 200 for about $20 on Amazon, but I think prices really fluctuate for these. But every year I find that I have been laminating less and less. All of the items that I share on this list, I will absolutely share with links in the description. Item number 2 would be a cutting board. Now I purchased this from Amazon and it's, I think, the 12-inch. It's really my favorite, and you are going to be laminating and cutting so much material. I think it saves you time if you just have your own. It's really light, so it's really easy to transport. Sometimes I have it at home. If I know I'll need it at school, then I'll take it to school. My only little complaint about this is that it does have a little hook that's supposed to lock the knife in place, but it doesn't always stay in place, so that's really the only thing. But as far as the blade staying sharp, it does really excellent work. Like, I haven't had any issues with this at all. I would just really invest in your own cutting board. So item number 3 would be organizational bins and tubs. You have to find whatever works for you. These are the boxes that I still kept from pre-K, and I organized them by theme. So any resources that I printed, I went ahead and just had them here. In fact, let me show you. But for example, this was theme 5, this was theme 6, theme 7, theme 8 and 9, all the way to the end. And these are Lakeshore heavy duty bins. Each of these I think is about $8 or $9. I was lucky that my school did buy some of them for me, and then I have purchased some on my own. But overall, I'm really happy with that investment. And like I said, it's just really easy to keep material and just pull it out. That's my organizational method. And then in these little smaller bins, and I actually just have like 5 of those. Those are my personal books. I do have to kind of organize those, but that's what works for me, as well as just binders. I like to keep binders where I could just pull out work as well and run copies. So item number 4, I would say, would be pocket charts. This is one of my larger pocket charts, but whenever I got into my classroom, I didn't have any at all. The reason I like pocket charts is because I use them in whole group for a couple of reasons. Whenever we are going over vocabulary, or when my students start learning sight words, I like to put vocabulary cards here, and they can follow with their finger or use pointers to read the sentences out loud. And another thing I use them for is, I'm pretty sure this is, the Measured Mom. This was one of the free activities that I got my 1st year of teaching when I taught my kids syllables. And I actually just start with 3 cards. But if you look at her resource, they organize the cards by syllables. You have smaller pocket charts as well. I have one for my read aloud where I put down the questions and the vocabulary we're learning for the week. And I have a couple others throughout my room that I use. Number 5 would be, again, kind of going back to the organization in your classroom. If you are going to want to have crayon caddies, which I personally do have crayon caddies for each of my tables. And I also have like a supply caddy where my students go and get communal supplies like glue and scissors. So again, that kind of just depends on you. How do you want to organize those materials. Item number 6, I think, will definitely be more specific to English classrooms. I teach ESL, and something that is a must for me are these alphabet sound teaching tubs, and let me tell you why. This is what I use for my morning message. If we are going over the letter C, we practice how to write it, we practice what sound it has. My students, I always have nameplates for them, which I actually found these today at Target, but I always have nameplates for them so they could see all the letters in their name. So if we're going over letter C, they would look at their nameplate and identify if they have an uppercase C, a lowercase c in their names. And then this is the part where we build up vocabulary. So what kinds of words do we have with our letter C? We have a car, and then you model how to write car. We have cookie, camera, and we do this throughout the whole year in pre-K. So it really helps to reinforce and build up their vocabulary. But I think these are really great. So if your school is able to purchase them, I would absolutely add these to your list. I am working on a donor's choose so that I can have my own personal set. This is actually a set from another teacher that let me borrow them, so thank you, Ms. Cruz. So item number 7, I'm just gonna say math manipulatives. I don't have any of mine with me, and I try to have the least amount of material, but that I can reuse in so many different activities. Some of my favorite manipulatives are pattern blocks, which I really love because I have an activity where they use them for graphing or they use them for creating images. Unifix cubes so children can build and also build one-to-one correspondence. I know a lot of teachers also like to use different kinds of counters, like animal shaped counters, or at the Target dollar spot there's little erasers, so if you're doing themes you can work in erasers. I found some shape erasers, so these are going to be great for them to sort by color, by different shapes. And then we also have an outer space unit, so I found some astronaut erasers, so I would add these to some 10 frames. So item number 8 would be magnetic letters. Now Lakeshore does sell a class set of magnetic letters, which is what I have, so that is plenty for me. I like that the vowels are red. Lakeshore set only includes lowercase letters, but that is really all you need. And I use my letters when students are building their name and when they start doing sight word work. These are really great, and it doesn't even have to be a Lakeshore brand, but just find some type of, if you can, magnetic letters. The kids find that they're magnetic and they love it. So number 9 are write in white pockets. Write in white dry erase pockets, and I know the ones from Lakeshore are pretty pricey, so I did find these for $1 each at Target, so go find some. One of the reasons that I really love pocket charts is because I realized that whenever I laminate material and my kids write on it, it doesn't necessarily wipe off really nicely, which bothers me. So for example, these Play-Doh letters are something that I put out for their centers early on in the year because of course they love Play-Doh, and whenever I do have this activity I always put these in so that my original copy just doesn't get messed up, and you can reuse it and reuse it and reuse it, but they have to circle where they find the uppercase, the lowercase, they get to write, and they get to practice some vocabulary, and this is where they form it with the Play-Doh. And this resource specifically is actually from Jennifer here. I love these. Item 10 would be to have some sort of building blocks because kids love to build. So I have Legos, I have foam blocks, I have wooden blocks, and just different kinds of materials to build because kids love it, and it can be really inexpensive to just find things that you have in your home for the kids to build with. Item number 11 is one of my personal favorites. It is whiteboards and dry erase markers. My kids love to write on dry erase boards. So if they finish their work early, sometimes I would just let them draw on the whiteboards. The only pain in the butt thing is markers. I had to assign markers to my students this past year. The only kinds of markers that I have in my classroom are dry erase markers, but I'm actually trying to move away from markers completely because unfortunately markers are not truly recycled. Yes, Crayola has a marker recycling program and I was really excited about it this past school year, and I have a box of dry erase markers that my students used and no longer work. So I was going to ship them off to the Crayola, but then COVID-19 happened and I've been doing more research, and what actually happens with recycling, with the marker recycling programs, is that they incinerate the markers. So it actually creates just more emissions and it's just not worth it to recycle the markers. So I'm trying to move away from them, and I found a company called Wisdom Supply Company that sells alternative zero waste office supplies, classroom supplies. So I'm going to look into the marker options that they have and I'll keep you posted on that. Item number 12 would be clipboards. I really love write the room activities. So if my students are doing a write the room activity during work centers, they would have their own clipboard and they would go around the classroom to find, whatever vocabulary we're going over. And then I got this from Target a couple years ago. So this is just my personal clipboard that I like to carry around with my student information all the time, and really just to write down anecdotal notes. And this kind of follows me throughout my class. Number 13 would be a science kit or science supplies. And if you are truly starting from scratch, then what I would really recommend are definitely magnets. Kids love magnets, and you can just have any sort of materials in your classroom so that kids can test out whether they're magnetic or non-magnetic. Some other things would be magnifying glasses and even rocks and shells. That is one of my centers. I just have a tray with shells and another tray with rocks and magnifying glasses, and my kids love it. They love inspecting the rocks and the shells, and then they have to draw them out. They love it. Number 14 is one of my personal favorites, which would be props. If you are in pre-K especially, you will probably have a dramatic play area. I know I did, and my absolute favorite was when we learned about outer space. And I got my kids little helmets and I transformed our dramatic play into NASA, and I had a box that was a rocket and they loved it. So any sorts of props where the kids can pretend and it's hands-on, they love it. I also have big silly glasses when they're at the library and they're reading. They also have a little phone so they can hear themselves reading. And what else? I have a microphone. So any sort of props like that, kids love. Number 15 would be fat pencils. I personally don't like just regular thin pencils because kids are learning how to write at this age, so it's really tricky for them to hold the pencil in the first place. So I do find that they have an easier time with the fatter pencils, and not just that, but those pencils last me the whole year and I can even use them into the next year. Are a lot more durable. You don't have to worry about sharpening them so often, so I love them. Number 16 would of course be crayons, and this is just one of my personal favorites. I do buy my own Crayolas on Amazon, and I buy the chunky kind. It is kind of pricey. It's about $50 for a box. I really only replace my crayons twice throughout the year. And something really neat about crayons though is that you can recycle crayons. Crayons are recycle friendly. There are numerous organizations that will take your crayons, so please recycle them. I personally chose Crazy Crayons, so you can check them out. Number 17 would be art supplies. Now these 4 bins that you see here are basically where I keep all of my art supplies, and I kind of just labeled them. So I have watercolors and paintbrushes. I also bought myself a glue gun, which can be handy. I make picture frames for them in December, and that's kind of their little Christmas gift to their parents, is a picture frame. But yeah, I have different paints, hole punchers. What else do I have? Beads, clothespins, sequins, glitter, feathers, art tissue, wiggly eyes, cotton swabs, cotton balls, paper bags, which I do have 2 different kinds. I'm pretty sure I have the brown kind and the white kind. And lastly, yarn, buttons, pom-poms, pipe cleaners. Oh, and that's actually from pre-K. They're little tongs. But I would say just take these art supplies into consideration. This is really all I have for my art, and it lasts me all year. Number 18 would be name badges. On the first day of school, you are going to want to have some name badges for your kids. And I know when I make them, I do make them wear them for the first couple of weeks, just so that they don't get lost in school. Our kids are supposed to walk into the cafeteria in the morning, but sometimes they end up wandering around the school. They don't know their teacher name, and it's the same name badge that I use whenever we go on field trips as well. Number 19 would be a calendar. You will most likely start your morning by looking at the calendar. I know I do. So my first year teaching, I happened to find a Dr. Seuss themed calendar at the Target dollar spot. So this was like $5. And right now I literally just have the sheet, but it came with the numbers, and it came with the months of the year, and it's really cute because every month has different Dr. Seuss characters. So even throughout the year when we're reading Dr. Seuss books, I'll reference back to our calendar and be like, hey, do you notice what characters we have? Like, what book did we see these characters? And then I put magnetic tape on mine. And so my numbers also have magnetic tape. They can easily come on and off. And then you can just find different calendar numbers on Teachers Pay Teachers or Pinterest. That's what I've done. So I do switch out my numbers every month. Number 20 would be puzzles. I was lucky that there was actually puzzles in my classroom. I had a puzzle rack with lots and lots of puzzles, and it really helps their spatial skill. And one mistake that I did make my first year was to have like 6 or 7 different kinds of puzzles, and of course they all got mixed up and I had to sort them, and I learned from my mistake, and if there was 5 children at the table, then they only got 5 puzzles, and kind of sit with them and show them how to work through those. Number 21 would be this adjustable pocket chart rod, I guess. I was lucky that my school purchased it for me, and again, it's on wheels, so if I have my kids work with this pocket chart at one of their centers, I could just roll it around, or if I'm doing whole group, again, it's just easy to move around the classroom. Number 22 are items for recess. I know in the past I've gotten bubbles if I'm having a hard week or a hard day with the kids, and I can just pull out bubbles and it'll be like an extra special treat that they'll have at recess. Or bouncy balls, chalk, they love chalk. So just keep in mind if you want to have like some sort of extra materials for recess time. Number 23 is a teacher cart. So this, I believe, was from Office Depot or Office Max, but my school gave this to me, so that's really awesome because I'm sure we always have different bags and just a lot of different items that you have to carry back and forth in class. So I absolutely love my teacher cart. Number 24 would be a label maker. Now, of course, this is optional, and I purchased this one off of Amazon, also my first year of teaching, and it's really helpful if I have to label something last minute instead of having to type it out and print it. And I especially like this, again, for kind of like my little art bins because my materials do fluctuate, so sometimes I get more items and could just type it out and print it out. Number 25 would be paper, like cardstock paper or colorful paper, especially if you're not able to print in color. This is one of the ways that I love adding pops of color, is just printing on colorful paper. Or when I print out materials for my students to use, I do always make sure it's white cardstock and then I laminate it, because again, I'm just trying to make all of my material last as long as possible. Number 26 would be ink. As a teacher, you will probably be printing constantly, and if you're not familiar with HP ink, it depends on what kind of printer you have, but I've always been an HP fan, and I have an HP printer, and I recently signed up for one of the printing plans that they have, and I get to print 300 pages a month, and they send me ink cartridges. They don't send you new ink until you run out. So they don't send you monthly ink. It's just that limit of 300 pages. And the nice thing is that you can ship the empty cartridges out so that they can be recycled. Now, number 27 would be to keep in mind to have a small group caddy. I have one, a blue one at school, and I keep all of my small group material there so that I'm prepared and I don't have to be fumbling through trying to find the material for my caddy. I always keep markers in there. I have little mirrors where the students can see so that they can see their mouth movement when we're going over letter sounds or when we're learning new words. What else do I have in there? I have little pointers so that when we are reading, they can follow along. I have dab markers, and then just any other instructional material that I need, I keep in my caddy. Number 28 would be Play-Doh. Children love Play-Doh, and you don't even have to spend money on this. You can make your own Play-Doh. I specifically use it at the beginning of the school year when my students are learning how to write words so that they're also forming them. That and numbers. Number 29 would be letter stamps. I love this, and my kids do too. So they use it to stamp their name, and they use it to stamp out their high frequency words or sight words later on in the year, and they love that. The only thing to be mindful of is, again, going over those expectations on how to use the materials. I have had kids that mix up all my letters and it drives me nuts, but they know that they will no longer be able to use them if they do that. And my last item would be magnetic tape, and I know it's like random, but I absolutely love my magnetic tape. I use it for the calendar, as you saw, and again, since I teach English language learners, I constantly have vocabulary, so whenever I laminate it, I put my magnetic tape on it and put it up on the word wall. So that's really the main reason I use this, is for my word wall. I would really recommend this specific brand, and it's from Lakeshore. It is about $8, but I think it's really worth it, and it's a lot of tape. And the nice thing is that it doesn't really lose its stickiness, so if I printed out some cards that I no longer need, I can just take it off and stick that magnetic tape onto something else. I know one of my teacher friends bought magnetic tape that was not this kind, and it did not stick to her stuff. So that is just why I specifically recommend this one. It is reliable. So that's the end of our 30 items. I hope that this video was helpful to you, especially if you are a new teacher and trying to figure out what to buy for your classroom. If you haven't seen your classroom yet, I would just hold off until you are able to see your classroom, just because you don't know how much space you're gonna have to work with, and you also don't know what material you will already have. And I know I didn't even touch on books, and that's gonna be so dependent on your school and your district, and if they're able to buy books for you. I was lucky that books were left behind from the previous teacher in my classroom. I've gotten book donations from other teachers, so that's how I've slowly been able to build up my library. And like I showed you previously, right now my library is just 5 little bins, but I have all the books that I need so far, and I'll just keep building up on that. I did see that Pocket of Preschool, she did compile a list of books varying by theme, so you can try and look for that if you want to see a specific list of books for a theme. Let me know if it's going to be your first year teaching pre-K, or for any current pre-K teachers, let me know what your must-have items are. I know it's something that definitely varies by teacher. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for my next video. It's going to be kind of a pre-K 101. Again, kind of geared towards new pre-K teachers. What does the pre-K day look like? How do you structure your day? I will go over all of that in my next video, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe. Bye.